Hi everybody, welcome back to Paper Dreamer 1 here on YouTube. I told you the next time we got together I was going to do a little bit of a paper project, something I haven't done in a while with all of the decorating projects that we've had. But I thought I would get together with you today and do a very simple project, one that even if you're not a big paper crafter, you can do for yourself. It shouldn't take more than 1 hour, and it is something that is very useful for you. And so we're going to get together today and make a card book, a book that will hold your cards. And let me give you an example. Here is one that I have made. This, of course, I decorated it as you can, any way you see fit. And this one was made using some pretty paper that I had in my stash. And on the inside we have pockets, and these pockets hold greeting cards, as you can see, and they're plenty big enough to put 3 or 4 cards in here, so that you can, and what this is really geared to is to get your cards about the middle of the month for the next month coming up. Have them all in here, and then you have them all ready to go when it's time. And what I have done here is just generate a computer paper. And you notice that I did not make it a calendar, because of course the day of the week, the date of the month will change every year. But somebody's birthday who's on the 5th, the birthday is always on the 5th. Or the anniversary is on the 13th, the anniversary is always on the 13th. So by using something like this, you can, it's perpetual and you don't have to change it. It's a very simple concept, and you can see here that I've gone throughout the year. There you go. And then you have the card pockets for every month. This one happens to have a little string in it so that I could make it for a particular month and put the string in for that month, but you don't have to put that in there. The other thing that you can do is to put an additional sheet of lined paper here, so that if, for instance, you don't have room, you might have 3 birthdays on the same day, you could always add them up here separately. So this is an example of a very simple project that anybody can make. Now, I have a ring binding machine, so I use it to bind these books. If you don't have a ring binding machine, a paper punch and some of those circle that you can buy at any Dollar Tree or let's say Walmart or any of those places in the stationery department, the rings for the ring binder. But I'll tell you what's even an easier solution is, once you have your book all ready to go and you know how you want to have it put together, you just take it to Staples or probably Office Depot, Office Max, and they will bind it for a very nominal charge, and then you have a very nicely bound book that will last for a number of years. The covers are made out of, in my case, medium weight chipboard, like this, because as a paper crafter I have this in my collection. But if you don't, cereal boxes are just fine. I would kind of suggest, if you were using a cereal box, they can be a little bit flimsy, that you might want to cut 4 of these pieces and glue them together 2 and 2 to give you a little bit more firmness for your covers, okay? But the process is so simple, and I'm going to share with you just how to make this book today. I'm going to start with, I'm going to use some patterned paper. Now, if you use patterned paper, and I can see now that I've got to cut mine, which I should have done before I came on. because this paper has a border on it, basically just to say who made the paper. This is This is 12 by 12 paper, okay? We just have two. Now, if you're going to use double-sided paper, you want to be careful because one of these sides would be folded up, either this way or this way, and you don't want to have a pattern that will end up being upside down when you fold it, okay? You're going to make two score lines. And this is a scoreboard. You don't have to have a scoreboard. You can use a ruler and mark it at 6 inches. In my case, I'm going to use the scoreboard at 6 inches, which is basically just scoring this paper in half. Okay? Now we're going to turn it the other way. And again with your ruler, you can put your ruler on and mark it at 4 inches. I'm going to score it at 4 inches. And that's all there is to the scoring. So now what happens is I'm going to fold this up and I give it a good crease, and I'm using a bone folder. Again, if you don't have a bone folder, you can use the same ruler and just go right along that edge and give it a good crease. And then I'm going to fold it on the 6-inch line and give it a good crease. And just that quick, we've made our pocket. A pocket here. This is where we will bind it. This is our edge. This is folded. See, we folded it in half. We have a pocket here. Turn the page. We have a pocket here. So I have got a couple of these done. Let's do another one. Here's another one I did. Okay. If you don't have double-sided paper, you can use plain 12 by 12 cardstock. Same principle. Score it at 6. Turn it. Score it at 4. Fold it up and then fold it in half. Very, very simple. I'll show you. Score it at 6. Score it at 4. This time I'm going to show you something else. You can get this one and fold it in half first if it's easier to get a good crease. Okay, and then you open it up and fold it up. And there you go. Just that quick, you have your pocket. It'll be bound on this side. You have a pocket here, and you have a pocket here. What's kind of nice about using just the plain cardstock, this one happens to have a rough edge, that's why I'm just using it as a sample. What's good about using the plain cardstock is that it allows you to decorate each page with whatever you like. Dollar Tree stickers or little flowers that you can buy at any craft store. For the different seasons. You might decorate something for Christmas or for the December page, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of options for you if you're using a plain cardstock. But I happen to have some two-sided paper, so I'm going to continue with that. Now here's one I was talking about. If I fold this up, let me get this edge off of here again. If I fold this up like this, my flower is really upside down. So in order to do that, I probably will lose most of the flour. I can do it this way. This will be up at the top. So I will score it this way. And we'll show you. Score it at 6. Fold it. Turn it and score it at 4. Bring this up. Give it a good crease. Fold it in half. Give it a good crease. And there you go. Isn't that a pretty one? With a pocket. Turn it over and a pocket. So you're going to do that with 6 sheets of paper. And I will just finish these 3 to show you it really doesn't take all that long. Isn't this a pretty piece? Looks like it's wood grained. But that is kind of a one-way design, so we need to be a little bit careful with that. I'm just going to cut all of these edges off while I have my cutter out here. Oh, got a piece of tape stuck to that one. Okay. Let's go. We'll see which way we're going to. Now, the birds need to sit this way. So that will have to be like this, and then this one come up like this, okay? I can't really turn the birds up because then they would be up, well, they wouldn't be upside down. So, but I kind of like the birds to be on the front. So let's just make some score marks on this one. Turn it, and 4. Fold it up, give it a good burnish, and fold it in half. And I've got almost cut my bird right in half, but you can see them. There we go. There's one more. And this one, this is like airplanes. So I'm going to fold it this way, because if I fold it this way, my airplanes are upside down. So we'll use it this way. Speaking of airplanes, you might hear some airplanes. There seems to be some kind of formation of 3, looks like biplanes that have been going over 2 or 3 times today. Somebody is out enjoying their hobby. One more. Now I need to have the wood grain going this way. And it really does have the appearance of having a map on it, so I'm going to put it like that. And we're going to score it at 6. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to score it at 4. Push it, pull it up, give it a good burnish, turn it in half, and give it a good burnish. And just that quick, you have made all the pages for a card book. there you go. All of your open edges are over here because this is where you're going to bind it. All of these are folds, and you have your pockets: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Now, how easy was that? How easy was that? Simply folding some paper. Okay, now on to the cover. I have cut my 2 pieces of cardboard at 8 1/4. Okay, 8 1/4 by 6 1/2. And that is because right now my book is 8 inches tall, okay, by 6 inches wide. So my covers need to be a little bit bigger than my book. And more, I leave a little bit more space on this side because the binding will take up some. But this, if you want to put any tabs or anything on the side of your pages, and I'll show you what I mean by that with another book that I made, you've got a little bit more cover. Okay, so you need 2 pieces cut at 8 1/4 by 6 1/2. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is to cover these pages. And you can see with this one, I covered it with a pattern paper and then just put some plain paper on the inside. You can do that. I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of paper. I didn't even have any out here. Let's just see what I can find. Oh, let's see. How about these 2? They're kind of pretty. And again, I need to cut off the edge. And we're going to do what's called wrapping the book. Not hard, but some people are intimidated by it. And I'll give you a little hint. You don't have to wrap it if you don't want to. Now, my cover, I remember I said was 8 1/4 by 6 1/2. So I'm going to make my paper about 1 inch bigger all the way around. So I need 10 1/4, 1 inch here and 1 inch here, by 7 8 1/2. Okay, so this is going to be my width, so that needs to be 8 1/2. And I use my cutter upside down. I use everything upside down. You know how left-handed people are. Okay, so this is going to be, my width was 6 1/2. I need 1 inch on one side would be 7 1/2, and 1 inch on the other side would be 8 1/2. So that's what I'm going to cut that. And then the other way, it was 8 1/4. So I need 1 inch on one side would be 9 1/4. 1 inch on the other quarter, 9 inch, and the other one would be 10 1/4. So we'll line that up. And there you have it. And this will allow me to wrap it. Okay? I'm going to cut the other one while I have the cutter out here. This is going to be 10 1/4. And really, You can make it just half an inch. An inch might be a little difficult to handle, but I'm going to try it with the inch. And this was going to be 6 and a half, 7 and a half, 8 and a half. There you go. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, that's kind of a pretty side too, isn't it? But I kind of like the stripes. So I am going to glue this down. Oh, I don't think I've cut the tip off of this. I got this little bottle to put some of this glue in. Oh, there we go. And this is art glitter glue. I got mine from Amazon. It's very good glue. I'm just going to put this on here and try to center it as best I can. I'm going to turn it over and we're going to give it okay. Now what I like to do is just kind of bend it, and it kind of lets the paper know that's the way I want it to go. And then we have to miter our corners. Now you're going to miter it and leave just at about the same width as your chipboard, maybe just a little more. I'm going to start with this. Now, if wrapping intimidates you, you can always just cover the top, cover the front, and take some stamp pad ink and just kind of ink the edges on the top and on the bottom, and you never need to have to wrap it. So here we go with this. I'm going to use the glue again because I have it out. And I'm going to do, doesn't want to come out of here too well. Come on. Okay, and we'll wrap it up. Then I'll do the other side. If my hand doesn't break off trying to squeeze this. You can use double-sided tape, whatever's easiest for you to handle. Now when you get to the corners, I'm just going to fold this little piece in. Okay, so then I can glue this. Well, I may have to resort to some double-sided tape here. Let's see if I can find Of course, I 8-sided little gizmo over here. And the 8th drawer I opened is the one with the little pins in it. So I'm going to see if I can just unclog that, give me a little bit of wiggle room here. There we go. Hey, there you go. So I have pushed these edges in, and I'm going to bring this one up. And you see the nice corners that you get? We'll do this again. I'm going to push these little corners in. I guess I should have done that in the first place. And I'm going to push that up. Sorry. And there you have a nicely wrapped cover. Okay. Now we are going to cut a piece of paper, just a rectangular piece of paper, and put it right here. But let's cover the back first. So here's our other one. I'm going to take my glue. I'm just going to go around the edge and all the way up in the middle. Put it down. Now I'm going to flip it over and give it a good burnishing. Okay, so now I'm going to miter the corners. And you can see the amount that I left. Okay. Let's train the paper. And put some glue. Push it up. This glue grabs very quickly. Put it up. Take my two corners, just push them in. Push it in. And you see what I have done here? I have just bent the end of the corner in. See over here, I bent the end of the corner in. And that's so it will be on the inside when I fold up this flap. And it gives you a nice clean corner. Okay, let's do it one more time. Bend the corner in. Bend this corner in. Fold it over. Okay, and there we have the back. So we have the front cover and the back cover and all of our pages. Oops. And all of our pages. Here we go. And we are just about at 30 minutes, which is fairly good considering I'm showing you as I'm doing. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to cut a couple of pieces of paper, because let me tell you, you have to have all of your paper cut and all of your paper on if you're using a binding machine or having someone bind it before you put the binding on, because you can't get anything in between those little rings after it's bound. And I think what I'm going to use is just a couple of pieces of, let's see if I have some brown. I do. I'm just going to use some plain brown cardstock. Now, this is 8 1/4 by 6, 8 1/4 by 6 1/2. So I'm going to do something. Let me just measure here. If I leave myself a little border, I could do this by 6 by 7 3/4. So that's what I'll cut these two pieces of paper. Let me get my stuff out of the way here. Okay, I'm going to do it 7 3/4, and you can do it whatever size you want. It just has to fit inside there. And then if I do it 6, guess what? I get 2 from the one piece of paper, the front and the back. So it only took one piece of the 12 by 12. And you see, that will fit nicely right here, giving me just a little bit of a border. So we'll just go around the edge here. And center it as nice as possible. Okay, and we get the back cover and my other piece of paper. And center it as nice as I can. And there you go. All set. The only thing we have left to do is to bind our book. Now, how simple was that? Now, I could stop it right here because it's going to be bound according to how you want to bind it. If, like I said, you could take a hole punch and punch through maybe in 3 places and put 3 little ring binders in there. Take it to your stationery store, office supply store, and have them bind it. But you need to make sure that you have got these put in here in the right place. And if you want a specific order in here, okay, make sure you've got all the open pieces over here. And there's your book. Now, how simple is that? It really doesn't take an expert, and you've got some a great storage idea for your cards. Okay, it doesn't have to be just a card book. Let me show you. Now, this one is that we shared. But these two are cookbooks. Same exact book. The only thing, now this one I really did some decorating on, and I'll flip through it here. What this is a great idea for is, let's say you have a granddaughter who is getting married, or nieces or that are getting married, or nephews. Guys like to cook too. And most of us, most of the young folks don't have cookbooks. They don't need cookbooks. I used to have 100 cookbooks. I don't have probably more than 6 or 7 because I still like to look at the pictures. But it's so easy now to go online and just ask for whatever recipe you want, and of course they give it to you. But they don't give you your grandma's bread pudding, the famous chocolate squares you made for Thanksgiving, your recipe for apple pie. And so these are the kind of things that you can put in these books and pass them down, and then they are forever part of the family. Now this one, of course, this is what I meant by putting the little tabs on the end of the book. This says soup, sauces, appetizers, and I really just did a lot of decorating. And then I have recipe cards in each of the pockets here. And then this one said bread and rolls. And of course this loaf of bread. This one says salads, and there's a salad bowl. And this one says side dishes. And there's some corn and some tomatoes. All of these came from my Cricut. I cut them out with a Cricut. Meat and poultry. I love the pig. And I love the lobsters. Fish and shellfish. Isn't that cute? I love it. Lobster and a crab. Casseroles. Desserts. That's a nice looking pie. Cookies. Gingerbread man and a chocolate chip cookie. Cakes. And I guess I didn't put one on this one. I forgot to put one on there. But here's another that has just an oven, so you could have all kinds of different recipes for that. So there's that one. This one is more flat, less decoration because I used kitchen paper. Okay, so this has some kitchen paper in it, and it didn't need quite so many decorations. It has the cakes. And this, you can see, was made, this page was made with, in fact, all of these were made with cardstock, and then paper was decorated, because this was single-sided paper. Okay. Now in this book, you can see I just did 2 sections of 6 for my binding. And on this book, you can see I continued the binding all the way down. Doesn't make any difference how you bind it. And I have 2 more to share. And this one is another card book. Same idea. Oops. And here's a card that I made. It says cut a bug. But you see, they slip right in here. Plenty of room. And then the last one is for those of you who still collect your bills by mail, and I imagine there are some out there. My sister and her husband do. This is a bill book that you can put them in on a monthly basis. Here you can write the company, what was paid. Now this probably is good for a year, okay? And then you would need to put a new piece in here. Company paid, was it charity or medical? Because then you have that information later in the year for taxes. And there you go. This is the same thing. It covers 12 months. So there you go. I will be back and show you how I bind the book. Be back in just a minute. Okay, here I am back, and this is called a Sutter Find It All, and I haven't used it in a while. Let me just check and see. I guess it's okay. It's got a few things in it. Let's see if I can get them out, because you know, if you get too many little gizmos in here, I guess I have a few gizmos. Let's get it out of here. This is a good way to show you how to clean this out. Okay, that's got pretty much all of them. If you get that too full, it just won't cut through anything. And these are the binding rings. And they are 3/4 inch silver wires. So I am going to do the 6 and the 6. You see there are 6 holes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I'm going to do 6 from one end and 6 from the other. It'll be 6 lining the top of this right up to the edge. Oh, let me just get my little, this is just a stabilizer. Okay. I'm going to line it up at the edge. And cut some holes. I'll line the other end up at the edge and cut some more holes. And there you have, you can see. Okay. And I will do the other side the same way, just to make sure. Line it right up at the edge. Here. And line it right up at the other edge. And there you go. So they match. So now what you need to do is get an idea of where your papers are going to fit. And you can do probably 2 of these at a time. And if I'm put this at the edge, let me just test one. Let me just, this is my little blue tablet here. And at the other edge. Let's see how that works. And they're lined up together. And that doesn't line up quite the way I want it to. So I'm going to, that's the cover, I'm going to move this in here. Inner pages are D, so we'll go into as far as we can go for the D. Now let me try this one time again. I have another blank. As I said, it's been a little while since I've used this puppy. B. And here's how I do it. I take my cover, I line up the page where I want it to be, looking on the inside. Okay? Lay it down, and I make a little mark. You don't have to make one on all of them because it's just basically the last one. Okay, so you see these marks I have here. I am going to take this mark here and I'm going to line it up with the first square here. Okay, so here's that mark right here. Okay, and I'm going to take this mark here and line it up with this one here. Now let's see what we get. Perfect. You see, you can see right through them. Okay, so I will do that with the pages, and I will take one page and get it where I want it to be. Remember, I'm doing this on the open edge, okay, because that's what's going to hold this closed. That's where I want it. I'm going to make a mark, 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 mark. Now it's more marks than I need to make, but I know that I'll line it up. But now I can take two of these at a time, put this down by the first one, and put this down. Oh, it's on the brown. I can hardly see it. Let me see if I can see this line. And I can see I have made a mistake. So it's not catastrophic, but I cut this one too close to the edge, you see? I'll have to make another page. So let's just continue with the ones we got here. Line that one up. And line that one up. We can't have 10 months. We need 12. Okay. We take this one. Get it where we want it. One here, one here. Put it in. Put it in. Mercy. And I'm going to finish punching these, and I'll make one more page so we can put the book together when I come back. So I'll be right back. Okay, I have got all my pages and my covers. And so here's the front cover, the pages, and the back cover. Now, here's something when you bind. You have to take the back cover and bring it over here on top of the front cover. And that is so that the closing of the rings will end up in the back, okay? So now we need to start threading our wires through. So I'll put these aside. Down to the back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything is in there. Okay. And the other side. Sometimes it gets a little tricky when you're trying to do two different ends instead of one continuous piece. Because when you want to get this end in without knocking the other end out, if you know what I mean. Now, I'm just going to make sure that all pages are attached. Because once they're bound, they're bound. Okay, so there they go. Now, I've set my machine for 3/4 of an inch. And you use these little plastic guides. See, there's the 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to set this down in here where these, oh, sorry. One minor detail, I have to put my covers on. Okay, so here's the front cover. And here's the back cover. Remember, it's on top of the front cover. Okay, now we go. This is the back side. That's going to go in the machine this way. And you want to try to keep them as flat as possible. And then you're simply going to pull this machine back and create the circle. You see? See this one? Do the other end. Keep it down flat. Pull the handle back and create the circle. Now what happens is this goes around to the back, and then the back of the circle, back of your binding, is inside the back cover. Okay, so there you go. All bound, ready to roll. Put your little things on here, put your cards in the pockets, and you've got a card book that will last you for a number of years. And I'm going to tighten this one up a little bit, and the way to do that is just close this tiny bit down and just give it another crunch. There we go. So you can continue now and decorate it as much or as little as you'd like. But there you go. That's your book. I hope you had fun. And we'll be back to do some decorating next time. I'm going to work on my outside area. But thanks for stopping by to Paper Dreamer 1 here on YouTube. And I'll talk to you later. It's so nice to have you by. Play nice now.